Hey up everybody, welcome back to the I'll Do Cycling YouTube channel, where today I am going to be previewing the Itzulia Basque country, and oh boy do these previews seem to get harder and harder each time. I've taken some time just to look over all the riders to really get a gauge as to which ones I think are some of the best ones, and I think the big thing that we're all surprised by, Primoz Roglic is 28 credits, and wow, that is a lot. You have to remember that Pogačar cost 28 at Tirreno Adriatico, so I think the thing that you need to be asking yourself is Roglic as much of a favourite for this race as Pogačar was for Tirreno? And you kind of seem to think that probably he kind of is. He won this race last year. It suits him a lot. The opening prologue he could very easily win. From the prologue then he continues those GC points pretty much throughout the whole race. You could say the same for a lot of these guys as well, but we'll get to those real soon. Adam Yates for 22, I think again that's pretty good value, and a lot of the riders towards the top who are quite expensive, you'll notice that the theme is that they're all very good choices, and I can't really knock you for picking any of them. I think they're all good. Yates is, probably not the best T-tier of all these guys, and he does have kind of, maybe you could say, a disadvantage of being on Ineos because they have so many leaders that you're not quite sure who they're going to go with. But Yates is still a pretty good pick. I think maybe quite expensive at 22. I think maybe you have some better options. I think that Martinez for 18 is a better choice because Martinez seems to be better at time trialling and perhaps a bit faster in a kick, like in a sprint, so maybe Martinez might be a little bit better. Alaphilippe for 20, really difficult to gauge Alaphilippe actually, just because last time he did this race in 2019 he DNF'd kind of towards the end because he wanted to be nice and fresh ready for the Ardennes. But that makes a lot of sense really. Will he do the same this year? I'm not really too sure, but Alaphilippe could very well win some of the stages, especially since there's not a lot of very fast riders here, but I'm not sure if he'll be competing for GC. I think it'll be too difficult for him. Jonas Vingegaard, another great option if you think that Roglic is too expensive. Go with his teammate, just because Vingegaard's looking really good recently as well. Second at Tirreno, perhaps his TT wasn't great there, but I expect him to bounce back quite well. I would think that Vingegaard finishing second on last year of his race, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't finish on the podium again. Evenepoel's an interesting one because I do expect him to probably drop in GC on the last day, but his opening TT of a prologue could mean that he could get a win early off and then get those GC points throughout the whole of the race. I just don't think that he'll be up there massively on GC towards the end, just because I think that his climbing isn't quite there. But I think Remco's a really good shout. I think he's probably better than Gaudu, just because we haven't really seen enough of Gaudu this year. Last we saw him doing really well was at Algarve, but that was a bit ago, so I'd probably avoid Gaudu. Higuita's probably a better one as well, just because of how he looked at Catalunya. Might he be tired after that? It did only end a week ago. It's possible, and he also DNF'd the Gran Premio de Miguel Indurain just the other day, so I'm not sure how he's feeling, but I think that Martinez is probably your best 18-pointer alongside Evenepoel, just because he's got that really solid GC-ness. I would be quite surprised if Martinez didn't finish top 5 in GC in this race. Mas, Vlasov, Woods, all pretty good options to be honest with you. They're all very similar in that they could all finish inside the top 10. They won't do anything spectacular, but they'll be, just solid. I think that Bilbao for 14 is surprisingly quite is good. He's very much targeting this race. I think that Bahrain said in a press release that they're going all in for him, that like all the other riders aren't getting their own freedom in this race. I read that on the Bahrain website. I think that Bilbao's good. I would expect him to finish inside the top 10, and I think this kind of racing suits him considering that he is a Basque rider. I think he's probably better than Sepp Kuss and also Geraint Thomas. I probably won't pick either of those two. They'll be on the domestique duty, as will Teige and Hart more than likely. I'm not a massive fan of that. Other 12-pointers, Jonas Zagir and Pierre Latour I like, especially Latour. He seems to always be pretty keen for the GC battle. Soler and Ulissi depends really, because UAE are just a bit unknown. I'm not sure what they're going to be doing. Soler, if you look at my preview for this race, I do think that he could win a stage of this, or maybe a couple of stages if he times some late solo attacks correctly. Ulissi is a bit different because they also have Covey. They're pretty much the same rider, so I'd probably stay away from that just because you're not sure who they're going to go with. I think Remy Cavagna is quite overpriced for 10, especially when you consider there's so many downhills and he just is terrible at downhills. Other 10 pointers that I really like, probably Carlos Rodriguez is my most favourite one. I reckon he could finish top 10, and because of the way Basque Country works with riders going up the road in groups, he could very easily be a bit of a foil for Ineos and then end up gaining time on GC. So I reckon that he's probably the best 10-pointer. I'm not a big fan of a lot of them, maybe Perdun if he manages to find some Criterium du Dauphiné legs from last year. 8-pointers, there are some good ones. Champers Sound possibly for like a GC. Kemner for some long range attacks, James Knox, probably not Gino Maeda because, like Bahrain said, they're not going to have a lot of freedom, the other riders. You could also go with Mauri van Zevenen. He was 4 points here last time, last year, if you remember that. But he could certainly finish inside the top 15, maybe on GC. And Blair van der Laan, I really like, probably my most favourite 8 points, just because he's looking very fast in the kind of reduced bunch sprints, of which there could be quite a few in this race. 6 points, arguably there's not too many that I'm a massive fan on. Mikel Bizkarra for like breakaways, that's certainly one. Steph Kras came pretty high up in GC at Paris-Nice, maybe he could do something similar here. Omar Fraile, this is of course his home race, so whether he might want to try do something. He was let off and like kind of allowed to do that at Astana, but he's at Ineos here, so whether he might be kind of reined in to do more kind of domestique duties, that's quite possible. Kobe Kosens is pretty good. He was pretty good early in the season, if you remember it, for Mallorca Challenges. Whether he can refine some of that form, that would be a really good pick as well. But other than that, you're looking towards the bottom of the 6 point list. Cristian Rodriguez is a kind of GC option for Total Direct Energies. He did good at the Ruta del Sol, if you remember back to that. I reckon your best ones are actually Ben Tullet and Maxime Van Hills. Ben Tullet especially, he did good at the Coppa at Bartali recently, and that was a good indication last year when Mikel Frolicanore did well in that race and then went on to win a stage in the Tour of the Basque Country, so shout out there. Then you also have some good 4 pointers. You have Aula for Caio Rural. He's a bit of a sprinter, so just watch out for him. You've got Az Padden, who's a good time trialist. He came 12th of that Volta Algarve TT, so he's pretty good at those as well. Jefferson Alvaro Cepeda, if you looked at that Miguel Indurain race the other day, he was the Caio Rural rider in the attack, so I think that Cepeda is quite an underrated one. Could certainly finish top 20 on GC perhaps in this race. But other than that, I'm perhaps looking at mainly assist points. So there's Dries Devenens, he was towards the top here. He put assist points on Alaphilippe and Evenepoel, of which, you know, Evenepoel will be up there in GC from the start, so he'll get those kind of teammate assist points. And then also Milan Vader would probably be my most strongly recommended one, because he will get assist points for Primoz Roglic and Jonas Vingegaard. So what we've got is a very difficult situation where, do you want to pick Primoz Roglic or not? If you do want to pick him, you're quite limited in who you're going to be able to choose afterwards. For me, I think play it safe. If you just want to, if you want to play it safe, pick Primoz Roglic and pick two of the GC guys. I'd probably say that Dani Martinez and Jonas Vingegaard. If you pick those three, you really can't go too far wrong. If you wanted to be a bit braver, maybe you could choose Alaphilippe over Vingegaard. Or maybe you might choose somebody like Remco Evenepoel over Dani Martinez. But I'd probably say pick three of those big GC riders. If you wanted to spread your points out a bit more, you could certainly do that. You could maybe go with Evenepoel and then spread out those points. Maybe you could upgrade some riders. You could get somebody like Pello Bilbao on, or you could get Alexander Vlasov on, and then just try and spread out the points a bit more in that way. That way you could probably get 4 GC riders, so like Evenepoel, Vingegaard, Vlasov and Martinez, rather than just the 3 of Roglic, Vingegaard and Martinez, so you get that extra one guy. You're going to need to be utilising those 4 pointers. I reckon Vader's probably a really good one, Davenens if to play it safe, and then either one, probably Cepeda I'd say is probably your other one, and then 6 pointers, Ben Tullet and Maxime Van Hills. 8 pointers, Kemner and Van der Laan. Those are probably the best ones for me. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Put down there if you are going to go Primoz Roglic or not going to go Primoz Roglic. Hopefully this has been helpful, and all that is left to say is to keep safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video. Salut.